Welcome to Guatemala, a land where ancient Mayan culture meets modern day opportunities. If you're thinking about making Guatemala your new home or getting residency in Guatemala, let's dive into what that looks like and what you need to know about the tax system, residency, and the perks of living here as an expat. First up, let's talk about taxes. Guatemala operates under a territorial tax system. This means that as an expat, you're only taxed on income generated within Guatemala. Your foreign income is tax-exempt, meaning that if you're earning from a job or a business outside Guatemala, you don't pay local taxes on that income here. The personal income tax rates are also relatively low, with a maximum rate of 7% for individuals on Guatemalan source income. And for non-residents, there's a flat 15% on income from Guatemalan sources. So this kind of makes it the best country just below, or the best out of like Canada, the US, Mexico, and then Guatemala. As we move south, Guatemala is where it starts getting good in terms of territorial tax systems and has the most proximity to places like Mexico. Okay, now let's talk about the VAT. So Guatemala's value-added tax, the VAT, stands at 12% for most goods and services, the sales tax. Exports are exempt, which can be a boon for business. And there's also no inheritance tax, no gift tax, no wealth tax, making your estate planning a bit simpler. Moving on to residency. Becoming a resident in Guatemala can be straightforward. You're considered a tax resident if you live here for more than 183 days in a year. For a permanent residency, you have a few options. There's temporary residency, ideal for those who are not ready to commit long-term or who can only get temp, and that'll be valid for 1 to 2 years and renewable. After 5 years of temporary residency, you can apply for a permanent residency. It's essentially indefinite, with only the need to renew your residency card every 5 years. There's also an investor's residency. If you have the means to invest in real estate or start a business, this route can grant permanent residency with less waiting time. Each path has its own set of requirements, but no matter which you choose, living in Guatemala as a resident comes with its perks. And speaking of perks, what's in it for expats? So here's the lowdown. Let's talk about cost of living. Guatemala is a very low cost of living. Some say even cheaper than Mexico. Kind of depends on the year and the exchange rate and everything, but generally considered lower cost of living than Mexico, especially outside of the expat and digital nomad hotspots. Healthcare, while there is a public healthcare system, many expats opt for private healthcare, which is both affordable and high quality, especially in the capital. Let's talk about cultural richness. Guatemala is very underrated in that regard, from the ancient ruins of Tikal to the vibrant street markets of Antigua. Guatemala is a cultural treasure trove, lots of undiscovered sites as well. Regarding the climate, the country boasts a variety of climates, from the cool highlands to the tropical coasts. They grow a lot of coffee in Guatemala. So anywhere that grows coffee is generally a pretty good climate. The coffee zone is one of my favorite styles of climate in Latin America, and that definitely exists in Guatemala, where it's basically perfect weather, not too low, maybe like 25 in the day, 17 at night, that kind of perfect weather. A little bit humid, very lush, very tropical, good amount of rain. That's what you might expect in Guatemala, but it's a big country, so there's a lot of different climate zones. You can even go over to the Caribbean side, and it's very kind of like swampy, marshy, that kind of thing. So lots of different climates available in Guatemala, but overall really nice. And touching upon community, there's a growing expat community in Guatemala, which provides support and social services for newcomers. We actually have a Central America Telegram group that you can join. There'll be a link in the description to join our Telegram groups, and there's a lot of talk about Guatemala there. The biggest expat centers are probably going to be Antigua, as well as the capital, Guatemala City. Plus the tax benefits we touched on earlier. Of course, that's another huge benefit which can significantly lighten your financial load, especially if you're juggling income from multiple countries. Really simplifies things to live in a territorial tax country, because then you only have to worry about local source income in Guatemala, of which you're probably not going to have any unless you starting businesses in Guatemala. So very, very good on taxes, especially we talked about estate tax and all that type of stuff. So really, really underrated in terms of its status as a low tax country, Guatemala. So if you're dreaming of living in a country where your money goes further, your taxes are lower, your cost of living is lower, your days can be filled with adventure, relaxation, waterfalls, jungles, hikes, and your taxes are a breeze, Guatemala might just be your next home. Remember, this is a general overview and tax laws can change, so always consult with a local tax advisor for the latest information and advice tailored to your situation. Discover the magic of Guatemala, where your new chapter of life or a new residency, a new business can be started with ease. If you want to get residency in Guatemala, hit us up. There's going to be a link in the description to book a call with us, become our client, and we can put you on a path to Guatemala residency. There's lots of different options in Guatemala. We know all the best lawyers. There are good ones, there are bad ones. We know all the ones that speak English, and we can make this happen. And it really is a pretty good paper residency as well. So as a plan A or plan B, it works. Thanks for watching, and until next time.